Welcome back to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati alongside Ethan Youker. Now, President Trump just announced a plan to give Americans the best prices in the world for prescription drugs, kind of balancing the scales that have been loaded against the U.S. for decades. Joining us to discuss is Rod D. Martin, founder and CEO of Martin Capital, Inc. Welcome to the program, Rod.
It's good to be here.
Now, Ethan, isn't it true you found Rod on X?
I reached out to you on X, formerly Twitter, and you just have so much content, and I love it, that I kind of said I wanted to initially talk about these prescription drugs, so we'll start there, and then, wherever it goes. So first off, why have Americans been paying substantially more for drugs for decades now?
Well, bottom line is most of the world has some kind of socialized medicine scheme. And so their governments just tell our pharmaceutical companies, hey, we're not going to pay more than some X amount. Well, that works out really badly for Americans. In many cases, we're paying 10 times or more what foreign countries are paying for the exact same drug. And the reason is, of course, we have a relatively free market here, certainly not a completely free market, but nevertheless, the pharmaceutical companies have found that the path of least resistance is to just charge Americans more.
I guess I'm still confused as to why. I mean, I know you detailed that America is the richest country in the world. Americans have more money, yada, yada. But like Trump's pointing out, how is that fair to us? We are also consumers. We also need these drugs. I feel like one of the things you posted was, say, I don't know if it was insulin or something like that. Say someone in Sweden is paying $30 for insulin. Americans are paying 10 times that, $300, and it's the exact same a drug. So, I mean, Trump has a point. There needs to be more fairness in the prescription drug market, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's just awful. It's absolutely absurd, and it must not go on as it is. The example I think one of Trump's friends used in the discussion immediate precedent to this was that his Wegovy was $1,100 or $1,200 in the United States. He got it in London for $87.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's insane. But it makes sense on the theory of path of least resistance. They have charged Americans because Americans were willing to pay. And Donald Trump is trying to stick up for us and make that burden shared across the industrialized world. We're not talking about raising prices on AIDS victims in Nigeria. We're talking about Britain and France and Canada and Japan and lots of places that can afford to pay a reasonable amount for these drugs so that the burden of R&D is shared evenly. And that is fair, and that has to happen.
So this sounds to me eerily similar as Trump's tariffs. So it's kind of tit for tat. If China is about to levy 50% tariffs on American goods, then the United States is going to levy 50% against them. So would you agree that his drug plan is very similar to the tariffs?
The logic is identical. The strategy is a little bit different. Like I said, it's very creative. It'll be interesting to see how well it works. But yes, what you called tit for tat, I know you didn't mean pejoratively. Some people would take it that way. It's just basic fairness. We should get the same deal that other people get. So, for example, in the broader trade deal, Germany was charging the United States 4 times the tariff on U.S. autos that we were charging them on German autos. That's absurd. Japan wasn't charging us a tariff on automobiles, but they had all sorts of non-tariff trade barriers that prevented the sale of virtually any American cars in Japan. None of that's okay. And Trump is trying to level the playing field so that we have equal access to foreign markets as compared to what those foreign countries have to our market. And in that way, you get a freer, fairer system that ultimately leads toward, one would hope, and Donald Trump even said at the 2018 G7 meeting, 0 tariffs overall.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Rod D. Martin after this. You are watching American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 80,000 procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail. Welcome back to American Medicine Today. We're continuing our intriguing discussion with Rod D. Martin.
You know, there was such outrage specifically from the left, as usual, when Trump, and I mean, his whole platform when he ran, before he even won the presidency, was his favorite word is tariff. So, I mean, he wasn't disguising the fact that that's what he planned on doing. He was up front and center all along through the whole campaign, and ultimately he got elected on that. What are your thoughts on the whole outrage of the left and just the doubt that they had that Trump's plan for these tariffs was going to work, and it appears to be working?
Well, everyone has been buying a lie. Is it true that tariffs are a bad thing in the long run? Yeah. I mean, we saw what happens when you protect your market too much in the automobile industry in the 70s and 80s, where American cars just turned to junk. Competition makes everything better. So, okay, I agree. But in the short term, correcting massive imbalances in how our goods and services are treated abroad compared to how we treat other people's goods and services here is a necessity. It's essential for job growth here. It's essential for U.S. manufacturing. And that's the biggest single thing Trump has accomplished so far in all of this. $10 trillion in new investment into U.S. manufacturing, most of it from overseas. We are going to have an industrial renaissance in the United States, which both parties told us for 30 years was impossible and could never happen again. It's just not true. And Trump is proving it.
Again, everything that he said appears to be working to our benefit. Basically out of time here, Rod, but I want to ask you real quick again about the left's outrage and Gavin Newsom about what's going on in Texas with the redistricting. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, the great irony there, of course, is that every blue state has gerrymandered to the utmost degree that it's capable of for decades. Mm-hmm. And California is one of the worst offenders. We get about 42% of the vote in California, and we've got about 17% of the seats, and now Gavin wants to take those away. So, okay, more power to them, but we haven't done what the left has done. We're going to be able to redistrict much, much against their interest if they want to play this game. Mm-hmm. In Florida and Indiana and Ohio and tons of states. We're going to end up with a 20-seat gain if they want to actually go at this.
I say play the game and play it better. Thank you so much, Rod D. Martin, for being on the program, founder and CEO of Martin Capital, Inc. Thanks for being on American Medicine Today.
And you.
Stay tuned. We'll have more after the break. You are watching American Medicine Today.
And I didn't want rods and screws and all these things in my back. I was against that because, I would have been paralyzed. Now that I had the Bonati procedures, as soon as he did the surgeries, it was getting better and better. I noticed that my pain went away immediately. I could not ask for a better surgeon to help me, to make me feel better. I no longer walk with a cane. I threw my cane away. I don't know what I would have done if Dr. Bonati didn't do something for me to help me.
Maria is still pain-free 14 years after her exclusive Bonati Spine Procedures. But to understand what that means to her, we need to go back to 2011.
I was working in a warehouse, and I got injured on the job. Basically, I was out of work for a very long time in pain. It was in my lower back, and it radiated down my right leg, where it was making me very uncomfortable, where it was taking away quality of my life. I actually had to walk with a cane.
Not wanting to live the rest of her life in constant pain and using a cane for assistance, she went to her doctor for treatment.
Well, my doctors took it upon themselves to try acupuncture, aquatic pool therapy, injections, regular trigger point injections to see if we could try to just help it out a little bit. A lot of times, nothing helped. It was like, and if it did, it was like a short time.
When the conservative treatments failed to improve her condition, she went back to her doctor. They recommended the Bonati Spine Institute in Hudson, Florida, even though she was in Pennsylvania.
And I sent my CD in, and the next thing you know, I received a phone call from Dr. Bonati.
Encouraged by what she heard on the phone, she made an appointment for an in-person evaluation.
I finally had a doctor that was willing to look at me and listen to me and make me understand what is going to happen. It brought joy to me because I was getting doctors that weren't even wanting to look at me, didn't want to touch me. They found me a liability, so they didn't want to touch me. And to have Dr. Bonati actually physically come out and say, "We can help you," I cried.
Confident she was in the right place, she scheduled her exclusive Bonati Spine Procedures. The Bonati Spine Institute utilizes conscious IV sedation, where the patient remains alert and communicating with their surgeon. This process ensures the source of the pain is targeted and eliminated, all before the patient leaves the operating table.
When I got into the operating room, everybody there treats you like family, okay? They are nothing but sweethearts, okay? From the surgeons to the staff to the anesthesiologist, they all made you feel comfortable. Every time they asked me where my pain was, I would tell them exactly where it was. As soon as he touched the area, I knew that he was hitting the spots that needed to be taken care of. So for me, that was a good thing. I noticed that my pain went away immediately.
Like most patients of the Bonati Spine Institute, Maria was surprised by just how quickly she was able to be up and walking so soon after her patented Bonati Spine Procedures.
I came out of surgery and my daughter was there with me, and Dr. Bonati came in and he said, "How are you feeling?" And I had my cane there. And of course, the first thing you'd go to do is you grab your cane because you're so used to doing it for so many years. Logically, that's what you grab. Well, I got up and I had no pain. And I took the cane and I threw the cane. And I started walking and I was like, wow.
Maria highly recommends the Bonati Spine Institute to anyone suffering with neck or back pain.
I highly recommend it to anybody who's in pain. Because he helped me immensely. I had my surgery June of 2011, and it's now August of 2025, and I'm perfect. I'm perfect. I can't say enough about you guys because anybody that's in pain, you don't want to see them like that. Bottom line is you don't want to see them like that. I don't know what I would have done if Dr. Bonati didn't do something for me to help me. I would always, always, always recommend Dr. Bonati to anybody.
To see more stories of recovery just like this, search for the Bonati Spine Institute on YouTube, Rumble, Apple's App Store, Google's Play Store, Roku, and Amazon's Fire TV. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of American Medicine Today. If you would like to see previous programs, add American Medicine Today to your favorite streaming app. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, contact us at the numbers below. Or you can tweet at Dr. Bonati using the hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We would like to hear from you.